swallowtails, much like the Caraxine, are very, very fast. It's the biggest butterfly we get here. Papilio demodocus demodocus. Finding something to sit on just up ahead. There's some host plant in there that it wants. It has one of the most interesting larvae in the fifth and final stage, final instar stage. There's something in there that it needs, but it's being hassled by the grass not letting it land, but there's something in there that it's picking up that it wants to taste. So much energy. Flies away, comes back, and it smells it again. Did you? No, it's gone. Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Lions to butterflies. Oh, you know about the chaos theory, of course.
Yeah.
So, there's a second one. The second one that just go across the road now. So their host plant is, well, they're not called citrus swallowtails for nothing. Their host plant is for most members of the citrus family. So we've got a mimic here. We've got a tree here that isn't citrus family, but it's called citrus bush. And if you had to smell it, it would smell like lemon peel or orange. It's very citrusy. I wonder if somebody hasn't arrived here yet. Hope not. This will give this opening of these roads. Now, it's a whole new couple of loops to come on, and look how nice this is. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, they're up with two boys. Any stations south on Ilkley? No, it's not. Jolly good show. Full castle. Alright, I'm sure I'll find it. Yeah, the zebra dump. Okay, so the carcass is, there's one line there. I can see just the corner of his mane. He's sitting in the shade. I'm not too sure he is. So if we're going to don't make too many sharp movements, I think this is our young boy. I can see his teeth, or rather his lip. The big boy must be down there. He's back at the carcass. This is not going to be good for recording, so
hang on.
And we can go that side. We can try and drive past.
No, it's still working.
No, it's like grass and all.
No, I'm looking on the 3D view here.
Okay. So this is our young male, everybody. Back at the carcass. And other male is up here. He's a little bit shy. He was a little bit skittish this morning. Not skittish. He was a little bit... What's the word I can use? Yeah, antsy. That's a good one. He did look at us a good few times. This young man knows us. He's heard, oh, yes, thank you. Those are your weapons that you just killed a zebra with. He is Arsenal. He's like got all of those things in his mouth, and then he's got 10 other sharp things on his hands. Well, 8. Dew claws don't count. 8 other sharp claws. Very big, sharp claws. So another yawn. Get up again. Yes. What's the vulture? There was a vulture that flew through the tree as we were approaching. And, interestingly, it was a white-headed vulture. There wasn't a hooded, and there wasn't a bateleur or a tawny, and a white-headed vulture. Managed to see this. They are kind of intermediaries between the hooded vultures and the bigger vultures. Solitary. It's not unusual for them to find a carcass first either. There's actually very obvious reasons why we don't have any raptors here. In my knowledge. Vultures. We're in a bit of a vacuum when it comes to avian scavengers. Not to say they don't come and eat something. Facing that way.
Actually, never mind.
No, but what we can do is come in from the fence. So it's going to be looking straight into the sun. But I can... The other thing is that... there's another yawn. Okay, what I'm going to do first, Brian, is he might get up. He's starting to yawn and get into his blood, and I'm thinking about doing something. But I want to see if we can see the other bush. I do. No, let's see if we can see that other male where he's sleeping. Maybe we can get a nice shot of him before we have to move out, because there are other vehicles going to be coming here very soon. Seems like whoever was here this morning done a few rounds, linked to that other male. And of course what happens is in the morning sun you have shade on the west side of the trees. So now if he was on this side of the road, he's going to be on the other side of the trees, so I'm not seeing. There is some very good shade around here. Places. We don't really want to disturb the sleeping lion, do we? There's a wildebeest. No, it's a nyala. Why do I think wildebeest? There's another nyala. No, they're Yanyala. They're two Yanyala bulls standing there, just browsing. Wait. Oh, there he is. Okay, so here's a flat. He's putting his head low. He's also probably watching those Nyala. Not that I think he's going to do anything. I don't think he will be able to. But I don't think we're going to get to see him much. Maybe. Up there. Just see the corn, but just he's putting his head down. He's telling me he's not happy. So I'm going to leave him there. And we're going to go back to the zebra and the other male and leave him be. Yeah, well, that's cool. And you can hardly see him, just see his ear when he does. So there's no way we can get closer to him. Lifting his head as we move along, but as long as we're looking, got a clear line of sight to him, he's putting his head down. He's not as relaxed as his brother, or supposed brother. So, we'll try something. Unfortunately, there's all this wood in the way, otherwise we could have turned it nicely straight towards him, but I could try something. He's turned around now, so we can just keep the antenna on the edge of the tree. He might not mind if we get this close. If he does, he's come close to us. Don't move too fast, eh? Can you move the camera? Oh, you can. Can I stop there? Okay. Hello, boyki. Hello, boy. You can relax. Be fine. Be fine. Be fine. Hello, my man. Hello, my man. Blink your eyes if he looks. And he blinks back. And if he does anything, I'll throw my jersey at him. Because he's not really happy about us. A little bit of a frown. Let's get a little bit of footage with him. There we go. He's softened and he's... No, it's a lot more for him to be cuddly, but... Hello, Phyllis. Hi, Phyllis in Boston. I can't talk too loud. I'm sitting right next to a lion on his kill, and he's been past the vehicle a couple of times, fairly close, but we are rather close to him right now. And the zebra is just to his left, hidden in this bush below, quarry bush. And a baby jackalberry. Phyllis wants to know that this morning you saw them eating the meat. What happens to the skin? Well, they eat the skin as well. They will chew through the skin to get to the meat, and they will eat the skin. On a large animal like a zebra, the hair will come out through the digestive system, and it will come out with the feces. But they can chew and digest the skin. It's quite a thick skin and has a very important layer of fat just underneath it. He's looking up. There might be birds. I don't really see. I've got an acacia above me. Might be interesting because in a short while we might actually be able to see his dung, and we'll be able to see the hair that comes out of it. as maybe unpleasant as that may sound. Just an interesting profile, this young man. He's really a Mohican. Okay, so I better tell the boys. Wait, Aaron, sorry, you got to switch you off. Oh, didn't like that. Oh, the tail started to waggle. Oh, Jesus, Alpha, God, like, shut up. It was. I would fire him. If he came back to the lodge tonight, and I'd fire him. I'll change the subject. There's a dwarf gecko on a piece of wood there chasing flies that are probably coming around because of blood and ball, which we're sitting right on top of, by the way. With all the flies on his flank, can you kind of get close to them? What? Bad angle. Okay, well, we're going to turn around now. We just need different angles, and we're going to be pushed out of here soon. So we need to go forward. We'll come back this way. We'll see if we can maybe look at him in a bit of this. The sun's not causing too much of a trouble. We'll stay in Simadodongala on Mangwabamba from this morning along the eastern fence line south of the Timbavati. Mark your go. Yeah, one Madura is Malapazi right next to the Nyama. Other Madura is lying in the Shatin about 100 meters away. Okay, copy. 5 out of 5 visual for one Madura, maybe 1 out of 5 for the other one. for him doing this. Actually, when we were approaching, there was a vulture in a tree, and very, very often you'll find. Well, what he did this morning, they'd killed it just off of my front right. Sorry, I must turn this down, but I have to keep it on because they want to talk to me. Right, well then they'll just call endlessly like he does. But they killed the zebra right here in the road. The carcass, we should be able to see it shortly. Was opened up, so we've actually driven over the stomach contents and everything else.
I can actually show you that.
Can you? But there are a few tire tracks from vehicles that have driven through it. Because you can't go too close to him, and you've got to get through him. That's life.
Don't move fast.
I could imagine the spiders and other creatures that are coming to eat these flies. And after feeding for some, so happens that place where there's good shade, they're not always going to have this opportunity to find this kind of shade and this kind of cover for their carcasses. Sometimes opportunity presents itself to make a hunt, and they hunt and something lands up being killed in the open, and they can't help it. Within minutes the vultures arrive and they bring in hyena and jackal and other animals. But these two boys were lucky. They killed a zebra on a really misty morning. It was a morning when it would have taken a long time for the raptors to even think of spreading their wings, because first of all it was very cold, there was a cold wind, there was a very heavy mist. When the mist lifted, there was a bank of cloud coming in. It wasn't good thermal weather. It was a cold wind, so it would have been difficult for raptors to get lift and to get themselves in the air. So they had a good couple of hours grace before the day started warming up for raptors to start flying, by which time they'd had enough to eat. They'd stashed the carcass, and these two boys are now flat cats till this evening. No doubt this evening, after digesting, they're going to get hungry. They'll get up, might even walk down to that little waterhole to have a drink, walk away somewhere and let the digestive system process the whole. Now those push some out and make space for some more. Is that on this side of the fence? No. Defense. That side of the fence. So perhaps we should leave? No? Let's go find. No, but there aren't even any tracks of leopard that have been called in. So, oh gosh, sorry Aaron. Sorry Aaron, I just radioed down and I had the other radio. I'm all yours. In a manner of speaking. Cool. David. Hey David. Good point, David. Very good point. When we were arriving here, I was saying they have 8 sharp claws, but they've also got 8 claws on their feet. Quite true, David. Apologies for the mistake. Can't argue with that at all, because they even use those rear claws when it comes to bringing down their prey. Especially something like a really strong zebra, they might have to get onto its back and dig their high claws in to pull it over onto its side. Anything bigger than a zebra, buffalo, giraffe, elephant, they do even use their hind claws to assist in grip and bringing down their prey. So I should have said 16. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever been to a really good dinner where you've actually been really, really hungry, and the dinner just happens to be maybe one of your favorite foods, and this combination of being really hungry and one of your favorite foods results in your eyes being too big for your stomach and you taking in a little bit more than your body can handle, and you end up with this bloated stomach. You might have noticed that it's far more comfortable to deal with over ingestion before even indigestion, but overindulgence, if you breathe shallow and faster, it's not as bad as breathing in heavy and deep. And this is exactly what he's doing. He's breathing fast because his belly's full, and it's the way of a predator. Even though they knew they killed something like a zebra that was big enough to last them a couple of days, just the two of them, they're not likely to get out of the lion. There might be some hyena that'll come and challenge them later. In fact, that'll be quite interesting if we come back here just before we go home. Might be interesting. See the zebra's tail there. But with predators, they don't know where their next meal is coming from, and even though they might catch something fairly large, they don't know that it's not going to get taken away from them. So invariably, it's not a case of, okay, well, I'll eat a little bit now and I'll go to sleep, and then I'll come back and eat a little bit more. It's like, I'll eat as much as I can now, and then as soon as there's room for more, I'll gorge myself again, and I'll just keeping my stomach full until it's finished, rather than digest and then eat another full meal. So while they have food like this, this zebra is 75% still a zebra, if not more. Yeah, well, that's what they fill themselves up on, because that's the richest, it's the highest protein, it's the softest. They've eaten a lot of the thighs, but there's still a lot of both hind legs, both front legs, shoulders, the spine, the neck. Still a lot of muscle. There's still a lot of eating to be done. Could take them another day and a half. Pardon? Oh, yeah. Well, it's actually just wonderful to show how content he is that I can sit here so close to him and talk to the rest of the world in a slightly higher voice or louder voice than I would ordinarily if I was being this close to a lion. But I'm taking liberties because he has come close to us before. He's come right past the vehicle, and we have spent quite a lot of time with him of late, so I believe that he knows that we're not too much of a threat. Glad you're observant, David. David. My middle name's David, by the way. I'm Mark David Weiner. AKA Mark Davis Weiner, because my mother's maiden name was Davis, so I have a nom de plume. Mark Davis wine. No one would ever guess. Better put the radio up. Probably calling me. Mark, I just sorry, I was on my other radio. Somebody was trying to get me. Somebody got a puncture. Honest, actually. Changing a tire on Susu Dam. Well, let's go driving around. And since this is close to camp, we'll come back here on the way home. Which station coming to Ngala on Ilkley? Because there's not much happening here. These boys are sleeping. They're not going to do much until they get up. When it starts cooling down, end of the day, not much point in actually hanging around with them sleeping. And a little bit later on, they're going to get up, maybe feed again. They might even head down to that water and drink them. As I said earlier, the flood and stuff can be very salty. So, see you later, boy. Ooh. Okay. I didn't tell Aaron about there's a buffalo. Good, we can look at buffalo too. Been waiting for a giraffe. It's a young male. A little bull. Don't know who's behind him. But hopefully we're going to see. And Brian, one of the requests is if we could go down the legs and sort of get a look at his feet when he comes, if and when he maybe comes out onto the road. I'm just going to stop here for a sec because he's in some thick bush. I don't want to spook him. There's also a very big Nyala bull there too. Yeah. Another young bull at the back. Yeah, we might stop. There we go. He's going to stop and feed. Hello, little boy. Rose in the shade, and his feet are in the grass. I wonder if they're going to pick up the scent of zebra insides that I've brought with me. Not really. We can see the wrist. Okay, so the question was from Sharon was about the toes of the giraffe and whether they are cloven hooved or whether they have what the feet look like and things. And as with most bovids, as with most ruminants, they have two toes, so they have two hooves to a foot, just like a cow or a goat. or an impala, or a wildebeest, or not a zebra, or a nyala, or any of the herbivores except zebra and other odd-toed ungulates. So they are part of what we call the even-toed ungulates. They have two toes. Now, as you see it bending the front legs, where it's bending the front legs are not knees, those are actually the wrists. And where the tail is hanging and flicking against, those are the ankles. Where the black hairs of the tail is hanging, those are the ankles. So there are these very, very long foot bones and very, very long wrist bones that culminate in two toes per foot. And now he's eating on a gardenia, which we're not going to see. Okay, we'll let them live. Ahead, we'll look at the nyala. We'll see a very similar physiology, skeletal structure with the nyala. Maybe not as long. Oh, here's another one even, and another giraffe. Oh, that's... Little do you children know that there's two big male lions eating a zebra. I bet you must talk too loud and give them nightmares. Is that okay? Oh, another young one. I suppose I should have one of those laser pointers so I can...
Yeah.
Okay, another thing I wanted to look at when you're looking at a giraffe versus, say, an elephant. What, you don't like me talking about giraffe? You're getting jealous, you've got to run into the shot. What's it called? Photobomb. Nyala photobombs the giraffe. And all he did was run up to that clump of grass to start feeding there. If you look at the size of the giraffe and the thickness of the legs, what are you looking at, boy? Young man? Yeah, obviously it's a rhetorical question. Long, thin legs that don't really carry much muscle. All the muscle is really in the shoulders and the thighs. But if you could imagine a giraffe having thicker legs, would have to somehow... In fact, it physically couldn't happen. Because the other thing you've got to consider when you look at the anatomy of a giraffe is the fact that it's got this very, very thick and long neck. And with the head so high up, as small as it is, there has to be some considerable sized heart to be able to pump blood that 6-7 feet to get to the brain, to keep the brain oxygenated, to keep a giraffe sanity. Listening to something off in the bush just there. I mean, he can hear that the nyala is not even interested in. And he loses interest in new health food. Also interesting how they're eating these gardenias, very much like they do in East Africa. Browse level, they browse them into these particular shaped trees. But, so I was saying, a very powerful heart, pumps blood up all the way through that neck, up into the head. And if you could imagine, if they had much thicker legs with more muscle, with gravity, how thick those veins would have to be to withstand that blood pressure in especially the bottom of the legs. And so when we look at giraffe bones down towards the feet, those wrists and those ankles, there's virtually no muscle there at all. There's a lot of tendons, but there is also just pure bone and skin. Bone with skin tapped so tightly around the bone that it helps to reduce the need for veins and arteries that can withstand high blood pressure, but also helps to maintain that very blood pressure by the tightness of the skin. What was looking at is another big giraffe. Could come around this bend any minute. Where that Nyala is, just along there. Oh, stop now. Keep coming. The big giraffe. Come, we want you to come right. See, they've got such good eyesight. He can see us through the bush probably easier than I can see him through the bush. Come on. Come, Twigger. We want to see your feet on the floor. On the ground. Please. Really pretty. He's stopped. He's watching these two younger boys. While we're waiting for him to see what Aaron's got for me. Another conundrum from Sharon in Austria. Something I'll have to think about. Sharon's asking about the lion, the mane that comes down onto the elbows of the lion. Wondering why they still have those tufts of hair that come. I think it's just part of the mane, Sharon. But never really thought about why they need such heavy hair on their elbows. Other than they've got these very big, heavy chests and upper bodies and big heads. But maybe it does act as padding as well as sensory aids. Don't know. Giraffe walking away. Right, let's go round the bend. Like I'm not round the bend already. Around the bend, got that giraffe walking on the road. Might get in. Sharon, you'll see his moves as he walks away. Oh no. Moving off the road. She's behind her. Come on, where's my giraffe one? Some father. Where did he go? Yeah. Go, put it in, bro. Farm. Yeah, double nil. Alright. Hello, everybody. Diesel and Dust, what a wonderful album. Do you know Diesel and Dust?
No,
yeah, I don't know, it might be nice to see. We'll get this sort of... Ooh, lovely. What you doing? I know what you're doing. If he moves forward a bit, of course, he's not going to do it now because he's dribbling.
Come on.
He might get a nice view of just his silhouette and rear lighting. Yes. What a error. Aha. Hello, Anne. It's a two-part question. Hi, Anne. Not sure if you got my reply to your email about August. But yes, I certainly will keep in touch and see if I can make a plan to see you when you're here at Thornybush in August. Why do some giraffes bend their knees and some splay their legs when they're drinking? And I think you'll have to ask the giraffe that because pardon? I really don't know. You know, it's something I have thought about, but some do and some don't. It's like why some of us sit down and cross our legs and some of us don't. Or I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things that individual results very. Yeah. No, I really don't know why it is. I think it's got to do with some that are a little bit more live, supple than others. I can barely touch my toes. Other people can touch their toes. I can barely cross my legs or sit in the lotus position. I can't do that, and some people can. That's how they. I really couldn't. I don't know. I'm kind of stumped by that question. He's a lovely dark giraffe. Not quite melanistic, but he's still got pattern thing. You can see the impala in the bushes just below him. Just every now and then their tails flashing in the darkness of the shadows. So that's a really pretty shot of him. Especially since we've been wanting to find a giraffe for a while. I mean, very few animals are so quintessentially African. Zebra and giraffe, perhaps the only one. Because elephants, even though they're different types of elephant, you still get elephants out of Africa, in India and Asia. Lions you get outside. You get the equivalent of sort of buffalo. You need to hide away. Oh, I used to do a very good limbo in my younger days. when I could still touch my toes. But my new kidney's in my stomach, so it makes it difficult to bend over. And then I had to produce all this padding around one kidney to protect it, so I've got... So, let's move on, he says, changing the subject. Not really a handicap, but a benefit. Okay, what? Okay, now we're going to go find the link. Yeah. Okay, we're going to cruise the river. We're going to cruise along the river. But, let's see, where are we? Okay. Today. I'm sorry if I've forgotten who it came from, because there's so many emails. I hope you understand, but you'll probably remind me, no doubt. I got an email with a sound clip of a woman that phoned into a radio station in Minnesota. Of course, it had to be Minnesota. Sorry, Paula. In Minnesota, complaining about the deer signs. Why do they put the deer signs? Those signs that warn you of deer crossing. Why do they put them at the high traffic areas where the deers get knocked over? No, wait, that wasn't it. Where deer can get knocked over, because those are high traffic areas. Why don't they put the deer crossing signs at like low traffic areas where, or even where crossing guards are at school crossings, zebra crossings, so that the deer can cross in places where it's not so dangerous? And I don't quite realize that the signs are warning for the humans. The deer don't know that that's where they have to cross the road. She was under the impression that the deer only crossed the road where the signs were, and that's the big one. Like, it might be nice if he comes through, say, where the sun is. Oh, there's another youngster there coming through the gap, young female. Running away, and then of course the bull's going to chase her. Too quick. Way too quick. Put on a jacket, jersey, a jerkin, put on some made in South Africa. Ooh. Support local. Definitely. Did you? Oh. Got a vehicle waiting to come faster. Must be Robert. Darted out of a barrel. But that is quite decent. It's not quite sunset because there's a ridge there. And we've because it goes down behind the ridge doesn't mean that it's sunset. Sunset for us, perhaps. Of the sunset photograph that one eventually gets after time. And there comes a plane across the sunset up there with its contrail going to be shining a big bright stripe across the sky. What? To get that plane, you can actually see the sun shining off the fuselage of the airplane as far as it is. I mean, it's probably a cruising altitude of 30-something thousand feet, but we're also getting the sun shining on the underneath of it. And that would be flying up north to, could be going to Dubai, could be going to Nairobi, Dar es Salaam. Always wonder what flight path that is. Yeah. Yeah, it's like dropping a degree a second. Well, not quite, because a minute doesn't mean it drops 60 degrees.
No, he never does. Couldn't pick up.
Here, a helicopter. Yo. Thanks, Karen in Memphis. If I'm not mistaken. Karen sent me the crazy clip, or the clip of the crazy lady and the deer crossing story on some radio station. Yeah, we did. I couldn't resist listening to that. Sharon, sorry, not Karen. Sorry, Sharon. Sharon. Sent it in. Goodbye, sunshine. We'll see you tomorrow at about 6:40, maybe. Sometime after 6:30 when we start our drive, we will see the sunrise. Until then, America, it's all yours. And South America and that Western Hemisphere, you can have the sunshine for now. We had a good one today. Wasn't very effective today, I'm not very. It was cloudy, windy, it was overcast. It was dusty and it was bumpy, and I've been sitting in a vehicle 6 o'clock this morning with brief interludes of not sitting in a vehicle. Quite a big mare, that. Plymouth Z, bro. Hello? always a little bit odd seeing the likes of those male lion eating that zebra, having killed it. Let's go forward a little. And then seeing those that get to live another day. Is that good? Fish? Or is that marula in the way now?
Yeah.
Yeah. No way of being able to hide. Are you going to eat some leaves? Unusual. Thornybush. The Mayarua that it's eating from is known to be very high in protein, those leaves, very nutritious.